My name is Rasim Cibralic. I am originally from Bosnia. I have been here in the States for 17 years, and I work at Erie Aviation as an engineer. In Bosnia, I lived in a town called Janja since 1994. My life before the war happened, I don't remember much of it, but since I was a child, I was about 6, 7 years old. But I do remember a little bit, and it was just typical life, like everywhere else. You go to school and come back home, play, and all of that. So my first experience in the Bosnian War was about when I was 6 or 7 years old, and it was just a regular, day, coming back home from school, and in our town where we lived, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of soldiers came to our little street town, and they all demanded that all of the citizens, the Muslims that lived there, be deported back to uh, another place in Bosnia that was really so-called safe zone for all of us. And what they did is they put all the women and children in buses and semi trucks, and all the men were separated. All the men above maybe 16, 17 years old um, were taken somewhere else. Um, any indications in regards to the beginning of the war? As a kid, you will hear things here and there from adults saying that the war is going to start, war is going to start, and but nothing specific to. Um, we didn't hear anything as kids. Maybe it was kept away from us, but nothing that said, okay, the war is going to start this time, or no. It usually just kind of happens. You never know when your opposition soldiers are going to come in towns and kick everyone out or do something worse. Things that happened kind of made us realize, it's time to go. Really, initially, we didn't have a choice from where we lived, our town where we lived. Like I said, soldiers just kind of came and forced us to get out of our homes and go somewhere else in a different part of Bosnia, a different city in Bosnia, and and at that point we already been separated. The children and women were separated from from my father and everyone else, and the the men, the adult men, were sent to concentration camps. So we lived in a separate, in a different city in Bosnia during the while the war was still going, without most of our adult men there. We actually, my family, we left Bosnia in '97, and from Bosnia we went to Switzerland as refugees. That was, after my father had escaped a concentration camp, and found us where we were in the city in Bosnia. And after that, then we kind of went to Switzerland. So we moved down there, and we stayed there for about 2 years or so, and until the war was kind of slowing down. And when they realized the war was slowing down a little bit, it wasn't as much craziness in action. They told us that we kind of have to go back to our country, and that's when we decided to move to America from Switzerland directly. My father escaped a concentration camp during an active battle or so. He has studied the concentration camp that he was in and the escape routes for a few months or so. So then he finally just decided to sneak past the minefields and all of that to get home to my brother, his child, for his birthday. So that was his mission. Whether he failed or succeeded, he was going for it. So how he did it, it really, it was really, he just kind of took a leap of faith and went after it, and he made it. The Bosnian War is still to this day a bit unclear of the reasons why it even started. And what we know for a fact is that we can't go back to our town because it's pretty much destroyed still to this day, and it's not occupied by anybody, even the people that kicked us out there. But the war itself, it was just really without any conscience. It was just a battle of powers between the two countries. What was the life like as a refugee in America? It was at that point I was a bit used to it because I have lived in Switzerland for 2 years, and I had to get accustomed to their ways and their language, and which was the Italian side of Switzerland. And I was there for 2 years. I learned the language fluently, and but at that time, we had to move to America. So coming down here, it was pretty much starting all over again, and learning the English language throughout time. And in that process, I lost the Italian language. And but life as a refugee was it was pretty common at that time here. There were a lot of refugees at that time, so there were a lot of people from Bosnia as well. So it wasn't as tough as for some people was to get used to. We had a lot of people that came from the same town as we did, so it was a little bit easier doing it together. Being a Muslim in America, from my point of view, it has not been an issue. I believe mostly because I don't have that stereotypical look of a Muslim, and people don't really, most of them don't even know that I'm a Muslim. But I have witnessed other prejudice towards other Muslims that have happened, recently, and it unfortunately has become a norm in some sense. Islamophobia is a real thing, and unfortunately is becoming a more and more real thing, and mainly because of the lack of education towards our religion, Islam itself, and the fact that it completely prohibits prejudice, discrimination, or uh, anything that separates people, skin color, all that. Islam is completely against that. I guess being a foreigner and in America and going through school and trying to get educated, it's a bit tougher for us, second language folks, and it's it's been tough, but with hard work, it is possible, and I think that anybody can do it, no matter where you come from. With enough effort, hard work, it's possible to achieve anything you want here.